What's up guys, it's Johnny O again, and today I want to take a look at RetroPie on the Raspberry Pi Zero. I also want to talk about a couple accessories I've got picked up for my Raspberry Pi Zero and hooked up to it. So before we jump into the RetroPie setup, I'm going to go over real quick. I've got a USB hat. So there's four pads on the bottom of the Pi Zero 1.3, the one with the camera adapter on it, that you can actually connect to add USB connectivity, full-size USB, to the device without having to solder. So essentially what this thing does is it just screws on through a couple of standoffs onto the bottom of the Raspberry Pi Zero and attaches via pogo pins. Those are the ones that are kind of spring-loaded. Onto the bottom of the Pi Zero, and then adds four USB ports, full-size Type A USB ports, to the Pi Zero, which is super handy, honestly. So also in the same pack that I got this in, it came with some other stuff that I'm not using, but the main things that I'm using are the heatsink on the top of it. Came with an 8 gig SD card, Wi-Fi adapter, and the mini HDMI to full-size HDMI adapter, which is kind of the biggest pain about the Pi Zero, honestly, is because half the time these adapters are twice as much or even more than the Pi itself. Also picked up iBuffalo USB gaming pad in the SNES configuration. So let's go ahead and get on to the RetroPie setup. Alright guys, so to get RetroPie set up, what you're going to do is go to retropie.org.uk, and I'll put this in the description below, the link here, so you guys can just navigate straight to that. We're going to go to this download tab here, and you're going to want to pick the Raspberry Pi 01 or 2.3, depending on which version you're putting it on. So I did the Raspberry Pi Zero, so I clicked on this one, downloaded it. It's going to download a zipped file. I believe it's going to be actually a .gz file, which is like a Linux compression format. So you just go to 7-zip.org. Again, I'll put that in the description below as well. You'll see download links here to download and install 7-zip. The other thing you're going to need if you're on Windows is Win32 Disk Imager, which can be found here on SourceForge. I'll put the link in the description below for this again as well. But you want to download and install this so that you can actually image your SD card with RetroPie. Alright guys, so give me just a second to grab my Pi and get it plugged up, and we'll take a look at the actual Pi and all the settings in it as well. Alright guys, so I've got the Raspberry Pi Zero plugged in. It's booting up now into RetroPie. This will take just a moment. Alright, now Emulation Station is loading, which is actually the front end that RetroPie uses to present all the games to you. Alright, and we're into RetroPie. So when you first boot up, you're not going to have any of this other stuff here. So I've got Super Nintendo and Game Boy Advance because I've already loaded a couple of ROMs on here. So I'm going to go to configure input real quick so I can show you guys. We're going to hold it down, and you'll see it picked it up. So this is what you would see the very first time you boot it up before you've configured any controller. So you just, on each one, you press whatever your input is on your controller that you want to map to that button. And you'll see here, I don't have any of the rest of these because I'm just using the SNES controller that I showed you guys in the beginning of the video. So I'm just going to hold any button to skip through it. You see, if I try and press any other key, it'll just say already taken. So you just got to keep holding down a button to skip until you get through all the things that you don't have on your controller, and then it'll let you just press OK and continue on. The one issue I have run into is that, well, once you configure the input, if you don't have a keyboard plugged in, there's no way to actually get out of the configure input screen because you have to press escape. I'm going to plug my keyboard in real quick, just so I can press escape. And then once you're out of there with the controller, you can select quit or back out. Quit will actually gives you all the get out of emulation station stuff. The only thing you'll have at first is the RetroPie settings. So you can go through here a couple of things on this. If you have Wi-Fi, a Wi-Fi adapter, or you have the Raspberry Pi 3 that has Wi-Fi built in, you can go through this menu to set up. So if you guys have any overscan issues wherein, say when you plug into your TV or your monitor and you launch RetroPie, or you start up RetroPie, you get black borders all the way around the screen, or if you get like everything's too big, not everything's fitting on the screen, you can go into this Raspberry Pi config right here. So to fix the overscanning, once you get in here, go to number 7, Advanced Options, select. And for some reason in these menus, you have to hit B to select things. I don't know why it works that way, but it is. And then you can go to this first one and do overscan. And then you'll say yes or no to this, whether you want to enable or disable. And just try that first, and that'll let you, that should fix your overscanning issues if you're having them. So there's a couple of ways to add games to the RetroPie. I'm going to show you guys how to do it from another computer on the same network, but I'll also talk you through doing it on a USB stick. So there's the USB stick option. What you would need to do is actually take your USB, plug it into your computer, create a folder on the root of your USB called RetroPie, unplug it from the computer, plug it into the Pi, and then wait for it to stop blinking. Watch the activity light on the Pi itself as well. So if you watch the activity light on the Pi and wait for it to stop blinking, that should be sufficient because then that means it's not interacting with that file system anymore. So just plug it in, sit, don't do anything with it for a minute. And then once you get that done, unplug, plug back into your computer, and you'll see that you should have from that point on the actual RetroPie file directory kind of mirrored on that USB drive as far as just the directories anyways. So you should be able to navigate into RetroPie ROMs and then have each of the systems listed there. So you can take your ROMs to your computer, drop them on the USB drive in the proper folder, and then once you're done, unplug, plug into the Pi again, and again, watch for that activity light to start blinking. Once it's done blinking, you can go ahead and hit F4 if you have a keyboard plugged in to refresh RetroPie, or you can go in here and do quit, and then do just restart emulation station, and then you should, once that happens, have all your games loaded on your system. So I'm going to go ahead and get off the Pi real quick and go back to my computer and show you guys how you can do it over the network without actually having to have a USB drive plugged in and kind of guessing when it's done doing the transfer. Alright guys, so once you're on your computer, you can go to wherever you have your ROM file stored at, and then if you go over here and you actually just do / RetroPie, and you can actually see on mine it pre-populates, and it should on yours as long as you have network discovery turned on. Once you go to RetroPie, go to ROMs, and you'll see all the systems listed here in these folders. So I'm going to go to Super Nintendo because this is Donkey Kong Country. We're going to drop it over here. And there you go. Now it's on the Pi. So I'm going to go and hop over to Pi real quick and show you guys how you can actually grab the metadata for this quick and easy. So anytime you guys add new ROMs to the system, you'll have to go ahead and make sure you hit start, go to the menu, and what you want to do is just restart emulation station to let it detect that the new ROMs are there, because it'll, as far as I understand, it'll only scan when it first loads. We go to Super Nintendo, we should see, yep, right there, Donkey Kong Country USA. And so what we're going to do is go ahead and go to the menu again, go to Scraper, go to Scrape Now, and let's just go ahead and, well, we'll just do Super Nintendo for now, because I know I've got some that don't have matches on Game Boy Advance, so I'm going to have to manually fix. And as you see right there, Donkey Kong Country shows right up. This is the original one, so we're going to go ahead and select that one. And it's going to go ahead and add the box art and all the relevant data to the metadata of that file for us. And for some reason my Mega Man X doesn't pick up right. So if you exit out of the menus, hop over to Super Nintendo, and you'll see Donkey Kong Country now has the relevant data attached to it. Alright guys, let me know if you want a more in-depth look at RetroPie, and a more in-depth look at all the settings, because I mean there's a ton more stuff to go through here with all the different things that you can do in the actual settings itself. Go ahead and hit that like button if you liked the video, hit the dislike if you didn't like it, and leave me a comment down below. Let me know what else you guys want to see. If you want to see more in-depth settings on the RetroPie setup, if you want to see me maybe show you how to use Kodi on here, because this does come with Kodi loaded on it as well. I've actually never used Kodi in the RetroPie setup, so that'd be kind of new for me as well. I may go ahead and do that anyways, even if you guys don't ask for it. But go ahead and get subscribed to the channel so you can stay up to date on all the latest content. Follow me on Twitter at TitoTechTV. And until next time, guys, it's Johnny O signing off.